Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. The conversation has mostly been on assessing Nigeria's compliance level to international financial reporting standards, and we've been taking a look at what the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria has been doing in the last 3 years. I've been having a conversation with the Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Mr. Jim Obaze. Mr. Obaze is still here with me in the studio. Thank you so much for sticking around.
Thank you.
Well, just before we get to to talking about SMEs and how the council is trying to get them to comply with IFRS, let's talk about the National Code of Corporate Governance. You mentioned corporate governance, the last, just before we went on that quick break. And about 2 years ago, a committee was actually constituted, for the National Code of Corporate Governance to, among other things, enhance national competitiveness and address socioeconomic issues, including corruption and, of course, lack of independence. But how's that coming?
Thank you. To the credit of this administration, really, is the federal government insisted that we must have some institutional benchmark that can actually persuade the legal foundation of this country. Part of it also included this National Code of Corporate Governance. They set up the National Code of Corporate Governance Committee in 2013. And I must say that a lot of work went into it, and we've actually completed the code now. Because hitherto we have 6 persuasive codes. Actually, we have national codes that wouldn't find any law backing it. You have codes issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria. You have the one from PENCO, the one from Securities and Exchange Commission. Corporate Affairs also having one. Then National Communications Commission, and then National Insurance Commission. These were persuasive codes because there were no legal backing. But in this Financial Reporting Council Act, the government made a point of duty to actually push in and say we need to have a statutory code. You talk about cheap labor in China, and probably that's what's bringing investment. It's actually not true. The reason is that if you have a very strong corporate governance that is actually statutory, it's mandatory, people must comply, then people will be interested in coming to your environment. Now, the corporate governance is saying that, one, you should not have the chairman of the organization, also the managing director. There must be separation of roles. I must tell you that the document is finalized, but there are a few things that we still need to do. We still need to do stakeholders inclusiveness, and that will mean exposing it for 30 days so that there will be comments, and then we'll also do public hearing. So that way we can be able to bring the stakeholders into it. Those are the steps that are just waiting to take place before it is unveiled by the federal government.
Okay, so we do not know how long we'll have to wait before it's unveiled?
No, I don't think you're going to wait for too long. We just wait for the breadth of the elections to clear so that we don't mix up too many things on the front page of the newspapers.
Okay, so we'll keep our eye on that as well. But let's talk about IFRS guidelines for SMEs. Have any been adopted by these SMEs? Okay.
Now, the small and medium-sized entities, there's a mixed bag for 2014, actually. We have not only the small and medium-sized entities, we also have the micro entities. The small and medium-sized entities are required to comply with IFRS or SMEs, which is rather a smaller version.
But why? Why do they need to do that?
Okay. Even the micro entities, theirs is even very tiny. It's very few pages. The reason is that they don't need to, they may not have all the resources necessary to push into a full-blown IFRS reporting. It will not be required of them because it's like using a sledgehammer to kill a fly. The information that investors will be requiring from small and medium-sized entities will not be the one they'll be requiring from significant public interest entities. Then where are they raising their money really? Are they going to capital market to raise funds? Who are their directors? Do they have a lien on their board? These are the things that you consider when you are dealing with classifications. The small and medium size, they deal with IFRS or SMEs. The micro entities, which are those people molding block on the roadside, what they actually want from a bank is they want just overdraft. They're not looking for long-term loans.
So which is even another reason why a lot of people have said, is this not a case of using, let me just use your analogy that you just used, using a sledgehammer to kill a fly? Is it really necessary for you to have small and medium enterprises, in fact, micro, small and medium enterprises, adopting IFRS guidelines?
Madam, I do say that you as a person, you adopt IFRS guidelines, but at a very micro level, because at home, when you take all the money You have to account. You can't just be calling for money and then your husband keeps bringing money and nobody is doing accounting for it. So at your level, you are doing the micro one. The micro entities, they need money to run their businesses. And in doing that, they go to banks and ask for overdraft. The banks will ask for financials. They can't see anything. So how do you want them to base their projections? So they ask for cash flows, and then they begin to babysit the business. But if they know that there's a reporting rule that they're supposed to follow, all they need to do is to ask, how well are you complying with this? But the council makes the reporting rule so easy and inexpensive so that they can easily cope with it.
But then the council still has to babysit these companies to ensure that they properly adopt and implement it. Because it's one thing for you to have guidelines. It's another thing for you to be able to properly adopt and implement it. Because if you don't do that, then you're already failing before you even start. So what is the council actually doing in terms of babysitting this, micro, small, and medium enterprises to ensure that they adopt and also successfully implement these guidelines?
Okay. First, we started by education, which is enlightenment. And in fact, we actually brought in November last year, we brought in some board members from the International Accounting Standards Board itself to teach those who are going to prepare their accounts for them, to teach even university lecturers, because they are the ones going to actually teach people in school or change their lesson notes to ensure that the people that are graduating know what they are doing. To also talk to the external auditors who actually look at their books as well. Because all of these small, medium-sized entities, they may not be that micro as you can see it. So education and enlightenment was our first step. Of course, our second step was to begin to deal with who are those that are actually helping them to prepare these accounts. Are they actually professionals? If they are not professionals, we encourage them to engage professionals. And then we look at who are those that are their primary regulators and go through them to ensure that they actually support them in every way possible.
So has the council begun to see any good encouraging figures in terms of the micro, small and medium enterprises that have adopted these guidelines?
Yes, since it's 2014 that they cut over, the assessment cannot come except after the end of the first quarter this year. Because when we say you cut over in 2014, it means that it's your transactions and events that are of a financial nature that you engage in from January 1, 2014 to 31st December 2014, which is the financials we'll be seeing, from after this first quarter that we can use to assess that. So you cannot get that assessment for now, except after this month.
So with all what we've said now, the ups, the downs, the challenges, and especially since most of these companies are going to be facing tougher challenges in terms of the elections that are coming, oil prices falling, pressure on the naira and the rest of it, do you still expect to see encouraging figures coming out in terms of companies being able to keep to the guidelines of the International Financial Reporting Standards?
Yeah, I don't see any problem. Elections are coming. They should go and vote. That's what's required for elections are coming. Okay, then when you say that the naira is sliding and the oil prices and all of that, if you are talking about the naira, then you are talking about what rates are you using to.
Yeah, because it's going to affect definitely their buying and their selling power as well.
Yes, their buying and selling does not mean that you cannot report. It's like something is now expensive in the market, but you still have to say how much you paid for it. Because when you are talking about accounting, really, you are looking at identifying, measuring, and communicating economic information to permit informed judgment and decisions by users of such information. You're actually going to tell us that this was what you paid for it. This is your inflow, whichever currency or whichever side, and this is your outflow. When you are talking about ups and downs in currency, is actually to what extent that could affect your buying power, not your reporting power.
So the council is definitely ready for the challenges in the days ahead.
Even the businesses themselves, we are also ready, I believe them.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Obazi, for joining me on the program. It was an interesting conversation, a bit technical, but it was an interesting conversation nonetheless. I'm definitely very sure that the council is going to be doing more of educating the public so that they understand what this International Financial Reporting Standards really is all about. But thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I've been speaking with Mr. Jim Obazi, and we've been assessing Nigeria's compliance level, looking at how public entities as well as non-profit organizations and, of course, very recently, the micro, small and medium enterprises have been adopting the guidelines of International Financial Reporting Standards, which is supposed to encourage more accountability, transparency, and, of course, improve corporate governance. The Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria has taken this job very seriously, and as Mr. Obazi has said, will continue to do so in the short to medium term. Of course, that's today's edition of the program. Thank you so much for watching. If you missed out on it, log on to youtube.com/channelsweb/videos to watch it. I'm Harriet Agbenyi. Thanks for watching.